Alright, cool. Okay, so I think you guys can hear us. Cool, so we have our fancy new stream. I hope you guys like it. Please let us know what you think of the layout below. We're actually going to be doing something really cool for you today. This is our art director, Rusty Drake. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi. Well, you just did. I'm Rusty.
What do you do here besides direct? What does directing art mean? It's been a while since you've been on the stream.
Wow! It means I get to do all sorts of really cool stuff that I love to do. I mostly do art myself though, because it's props to the team for that because they're so incredibly talented and self-sufficient. I don't have to do a lot of hand-holding at all, really. Just check in with everybody, make sure that I work with the producer and everybody's on point, and they just go. And it's very rare that I have to step in and ask for changes and whatnot. So for the most part, I'm in the trenches myself, and I'm painting, I'm coloring, I'm sketching, and a lot of UI work, like all the toasts that pop up and the UI that you're looking at right now. We're going to change it, but currently that's stuff that I did.
Sweet. Cool. So, and guys, I'm PM Master. You guys know me. Someone says I look like I'm in rough shape. I think it might just be because of the hoodie, maybe. I actually think, oh man, I'm wearing something fancy.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh
be
yeah,
fancy.
that works out so well. Here we go. Forgot. It's cold. Everyone knows that it's pretty cold out everywhere now. We're in Florida and it's cold
right.
here.
In Florida, you sissies. What is it, like 70?
Yeah, it's like 70 and it's freezing, and I'm waiting for it to turn back to be 90. I wear 2 jackets today when I walk to work.
Yeah, I'm double socks today, so I can stay cozy.
All right, cool. So what we're gonna do today that's really cool is that Enrique, one of our concept artists here, he's going to draw a pet, and that pet will be one of the first pets that's actually in the game. So what I would like you guys to do over the next 5 to 10 minutes is kind of throw out some pet ideas in the chat here, and then if we got everything set up correctly, which I think we do, Enrique will pick one of those pets that you guys said. So pets from the first game, and we'll start drawing it.
So is that him doodling right now?
Yeah, that's him doodling right now.
So he's going to take that and scrap it and start something fresh?
Yeah, he is. I think he's drawing a ramster, though. He might delete it. This is actually working way better than I thought it would. We actually have him Skyped into the to this computer and then using his Skype window as a screen to draw.
That's some real future stuff right there.
But yeah, that's cool. I think it might be. It looks so good. I think it might be something that we want to just continue every time. So we want to know what everyone says. So thanks everyone. Come on, give us your pet ideas and we'll pick one. But before then, maybe let's see. We don't want to talk too much about pets yet because we haven't really revealed a lot about them. But pets are coming, right?
Yep, and they're awesome. Enrique is knocking it out of the park. He's an amazing artist, and he just continues to make cool pet after cool pet after cool pet. So
I think let's not talk too much about the pets themselves. But how long has the art team been working on pets now? And
it's actually a surprisingly short amount of time. I think we've only been doing it for about 3 weeks now.
3 weeks
with the focus.
Oh,
yeah, I mean we've kind of had an idea about what we'd like to do when we do finally start for a long time. So it's been ruminating. But we didn't let Enrique out of the gate until 3 weeks ago.
But then since then we've done a ton of stuff, right?
Yeah. He was just going crazy, shotgun approach, just throwing anything out there. And then we've just kind of refined it and said, I don't know if I can really talk about the procedure, but it's gotten more and more focused, more refined. We've got a pretty good list of things that we're going to be coming out with.
So basically we have a design now, the art team's cranking away. I think we've actually started to model some of them now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have we started to animate as well, or?
We we had a couple long discussions about how we're going to do that, and it's basically pending some R&D that we're doing today. We'll look at what we have tonight. I haven't seen any of it yet. Apparently one of the approaches is working really well, and we'll probably run with that. I hope we do, because that's the one that I was voting for to begin with. But it's involving certain facial animations. So
and if they're necessary or not?
It's necessary.
Okay. Well,
it's necessary.
So I think the pet that I'll pick from the comments so far is the propeller cat from the first game. I think I saw that mentioned twice. So we will have, this will be interesting, we'll have Enrique draw maybe a couple versions of the propeller cat. He'll just fool around with it, and we'll see where it goes. So yeah, so this will be one of the first pets I put in the game. So thank you guys for coming and watching the stream today. And there's obviously a lot more, but not only will you get to see Enrique kind of draw this thing from scratch, and we will too, but you'll also get to get it in the game when pets come out eventually, which is in the future. So cool. So I think one of the things that we have on the list today is obviously to answer your guys' questions. I know Rusty and I have this huge sheet here. Last time I waited. What is this? I waited. This is all the questions that people prepared for the stream. So
that's a lot of questions, guys.
So we take questions from the comments. So if you have any questions for Rusty, please ask those directly. And then also I'm gonna try to start these sooner rather than later this stream, because last time I think I got halfway through. I thought they were going easy on us because I thought it was only 2 sheets of paper, but I realized Kat actually printed it double-sided. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, these are a lot of questions. We'll go over those in a little bit. So one of the first things I wanted to do, and I'll talk to Rusty about this, and this could be fun. I actually have kind of your guys' replies. Well, the camera's over there, to the survey that we did on SurveyMonkey. So I don't know if you're familiar, Rusty, but a couple weeks ago we did a survey for the new patch, just asking people kind of what they thought and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to share the results with everyone here, awesome. And then we'll probably post these somewhere online for people too. So what I'll do is I'll let you guess what the response is, and then we'll see. So the first one was, did you play Dungeon Defenders 2 before this update? Yes or no? Which one do you think was the most picked one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fans, and I know that they got on board very early on, and you guys are amazing. So yeah, I know you're out there.
Yes. So yes, most people played before. So then we had a question here, which is how far into the game did most players get before Foundation Part 1? So what we see here is really a lot of you said that you got to the 25++ playlist, but also, there were really a good chunk of you stuck, kind of in the campaign around 10 to 15 and 15 to 20, when you really had to grind for stuff in the previous advent. Which led to our next question, which is how far are you on in the game now? And we had a lot of people say they're still in campaign mode, but a lot more people than before. I think here we have 35% of players said they made it to 25++, and when we were back here it was only 30. So we definitely have a lot more people who claim that they're further in the game after the update than before. We're actually kind of working on metrics and stuff to get a better idea of these things as well. So not just in terms of what you guys, the feedback you give us. And the
I totally believe it. These guys are hardcore. 25++.
So, oh man, we need to turn down the music. There's a sign to turn down the music of the game.
Oh, the game.
I guess people can't hear
what
us.
Music?
Yeah, you're like, I don't hear any music. So, we have here basically a question asking if people felt the new campaign mode was better than the campaign mode in the first update from 1 to 5, or the lack of campaign mode. And the answer was a resounding yes. We had basically, it looks like 50% of people put in the 4 and 5s, and then a couple of people put in 3s, and almost no one put in 1 and 2. Good. So that's good. I'm glad you guys like campaign mode. There's a bunch of fixes that we have to do, obviously, and we're going to work towards that with these next couple patches. Then we also asked a question about the XP curve, and we asked if you guys felt it was better than before, so it's less grindy now. And here we had a resounding yes. There's 60% of people in the 4 and 5s, and only 4% of people in 1 and 2. So basically everyone said yes, less grind is better. So that's something that's really good to know.
A couple of people out there like the repetition.
Yeah, a couple of people out there like the repetition. About, let's see, how many people? So we had 400 people answer this question, and we had, out of that 400 people, 20 people said they liked the grind from before, basically. So
I might have been one of those people, because there's a part. Well, yeah, at the end of the day, after a long, hard day, it's kind of nice to go into a game where you just do something simple, and repetitive. You just relax. So I would probably be one of those people.
I think there's definitely going to be parts for that for the game, but I think people wanted to see all the. I think people got stuck before they got to see all the maps, and they're like, I have to keep playing Ruins again. They're like, I want to play these other maps. I don't even know how they look yet.
Right.
So it's like I Passed Butter here right now is playing the second to last map in the game.
Yeah, it was a long time before I got to this level.
Now I think it's significantly shorter. So. Oh, we have a question here from the comments, which actually asks, has campaign mode been updated since it was first introduced? So the answer to that is no, it hasn't yet. It will be a bit of time until our next update, and then even more of a bit of time till the one after that. But we will be updating it slightly in the next update, and then more as we go. There's still lots of features we're adding to the game, and actually this next update is largely about kind of preparing for pets and preparing for some new maps and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of invisible stuff that you guys don't necessarily get to see. But the patch after that's going to be pretty awesome. So I won't spoil what will be in that patch. So let's see here. We have a question that we asked everyone, which is, how do you feel about the various changes to the game? And we kind of listed a couple changes in the last patch. So as I go through these, I'll kind of have Rusty also talk about the art side of them. So Social Tavern. Why don't you just kind of talk about like how that, I know not the Social Tavern necessarily, but the two tavern systems and the kind of art and how one's at night and one's during the day.
Well, that just developed out of a need. We developed the one tavern and worked long and hard on that one. And then it came up that we need some way of separating this. We need some way of getting people in one spot and yet having another area where people aren't dependent upon you and this other stuff. You can do your own thing. And so we just looked at the amount of time that we had to actually do that, and the easiest answer would be to just change the time of day. And we did some concepts to support that so we could get the best look from it. It was kind of challenging, but I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, it did. Oh, we have a question here, which is, let's see, would we ever consider blueprints for a map? Like I'd be able to save a build and be able to deploy it faster. I'm not sure about that. I think that's a question for our designers. I think a large part of playing the game is actually building with other people. So letting you just kind of, let's say you built a build that was awesome on the map and you just load up the game and it's just there, and then you're not really playing necessarily.
Yeah,
so.
That's just cheating while grinding.
Yeah,
no.
So it gets tricky. I know there's a lot of people who, we want to support, we are actually continuing to more support kind of the tower defense elements of the game and bring those to the forefront. But at the same time, we also want people to play the game. And I think I actually had a conversation with our designers kind of last week at some point about, the questions we're asking ourselves now isn't necessarily, okay, they're like, how for the people who want to place towers and just watch them kill stuff, like what do we give them to do while the towers are killing stuff? So they still have stuff to do, as opposed to all tabbing out and playing something else and then looking at the loot. So.
Yawn.
I think I read someone tweeted the other day, they were like, I like to play DD1 while I'm playing LOL. And they like set up a map and then they all tab out and they play League of Legends and they all tab back to DD1 to see what they got. So.
I'm kind of impressed at that because both of them, for me, are games that demand quite a bit of attention. I can't really AFK at LOL, I can't AFK at Dungeons & Defenders, so hats off to you.
Yeah. So we have here the answer to this question. So Social Tavern, pretty mixed across the board actually. Have basically a lot of people with 2s, 3s, and 4s, a large chunk of people with 1, and a smaller chunk of people with 5. So it looks like people were pretty mixed about the Social Tavern. I know we did one hotfix to fix a bunch of stuff in that, and there's definitely a lot of discussions going on to the future for the next couple of patches about how we change the tavern system to make more sense and just be better overall. The next one was challenges. So I think you actually did how many icons for challenges?
Oh my gosh. I think it's right around 80.
80.
Maybe more.
So there's 80 separate icons for challenges. So challenges was a big push in the last update. And I think they came out pretty good and pretty fun to do. And I think everyone else agreed. We got pretty much everyone with 5 saying that they really like challenges. A couple of people with 4s.
Oh, cool.
Almost known as the ones. So that's good. I know we have a long ways to go to get a lot of kind of good rewards for challenges, because right now it's like, yeah, I checked the box, and it needs to be like, oh, I got this awesome thing for my tavern, or this awesome thing for my hero. Those are coming up, right? Yeah. In the future. Why don't you talk a little bit about what Enrique is doing right now before we keep going through this.
He's coloring.
But he's not like using water brushes. Like, so what kind of like what way can you describe kind of like the technique or something that he's using to do this?
It's a pretty traditional comic book technique, really, which is kind of where he comes from, just in his own personal background. The way that he's done it, he's done a sketch first, real rough, and then I think he might have cleaned it up a little bit. I haven't been watching him specifically. But he's laying down what we call flats. You just take one color, you're outlining the shape, and normally if it's a more complex drawing, you can call out the different sections of it, like paint the backpack area a different color or the propeller a different color, that way you can select them separately. But for what he's doing here, just one color for the whole thing, and what that does is it keeps your paint confined to just that section. You can do it in Photoshop where it's isolated to just the pixels that you have. So now he's just using that to paint in the details. He's starting in with just some basic color shapes and moving on from there. So that'll progress. It's super cute.
Cool.
Go Enrique! Chunk it up!
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out. So let's see here. So we have a question. Well, let's see. Continue here. So daily missions. I think also Enrique was actually the one to do those daily mission cards.
Yeah.
I think
Again, he knocked those out of the park too. Initially, those were going to be really simple.
Like the icons? Or?
Yeah. We were going to do some little, maybe screen capture or something and throw that in there. And he just said, no. We got to make these cool. And he did. He ran with it. And he did it remarkably fast too. I think he did 2 of them per day.
Awesome. Yeah, those look fantastic. I think we need to like release a set of them or something online, so they're not just shown in the daily missions. But so daily missions also resoundingly liked. Almost as many 5s as the challenges, and then a ton of 4s and 3s, and a little bit of 2s and 1s. And I think that a lot of that's attributable, but just a little bit. I don't have the. See, do I have the percentage in front of me? I do. Let's see. So it was only for the daily missions. About 10% with 2s and 1s, but the rest of it with 3 through 5s. And I think that's because the rewards aren't necessarily good yet. So it's like, I get more XP and gold, but you could have all the XP and gold you'd ever need. You can be capped out. So I know that's something that we are actively working on. Actually, I think even with pets, a little bit of that. So.
And for me, when I play, when I'm in the tower and I go to Archibald, which is what we call the guy, I don't know if it's mentioned in the game yet, but Archibald is up there and he gives you your daily mission. And I do that and I click on it because I think, wow, that looks cool because the art's cool. And I think, oh, I'll pick that one. And I go in the game and I completely forget. So I think it might be nice to have some type of reminder on the screen somewhere or in the chat box or something. Hey, don't forget you're supposed to do this today.
So we have people actually continuing the discussion about blueprints in the chats, which is really interesting to read. I definitely think it would be something that interests our designers a lot more, where people are talking about it now in terms of like maybe guides to show people how to place things. Obviously, there's a lot of tricks to doing that. I think at one point we talked about, and this was just like a long time ago, early in D2's development, how in Dark Souls, it's interesting because it shows like where players died or where players did other things and were moving and attacking, or like it'd be kind of interesting to guide new players if it was like, oh look, there's a ghost of a tower here, because that's kind of like where you should place it. So I definitely think there's some good, good ideas like that. I will say the person here says it definitely shouldn't be hard to program. It's probably underestimating. It's probably estimating how hard everything is, but yeah, it would definitely be something that's interesting to look at in the future. So we have here new legendary weapons. So I think there's probably some stories with the new legendary weapons. You want to share any?
I don't know who out there is familiar with an artist that we have on staff, Alexi Redfish on DeviantArt. He came on board. He's an amazing animator. He does 2D animations that just, it's in the game. You can see it. It's really cool stuff. And I also follow him on DeviantArt, and recently he started posting concept art, some illustrations and stuff. and it came up that we're going to need a whole bunch of concepts for weapons and relics and all this other stuff. And Enrique was a little overtasked, so I threw it out there and said, "Hey, throw it at Alexi." Or it might have even been Josh that suggested it, but I was all for it. I said, "Yep, I know you can do it. Let's give him a shot." And we told him some guidelines of what we expected from weapons concepts, and he came back with just the most amazing stuff. Just weapon after weapon after weapon. Everybody was excited when it came in because it's just the coolest stuff. I don't know if I can even talk about them, but just the swords and the polearms and shields, and everybody just, I totally want that.
Unfortunately, those aren't in the game yet. But yeah,
not in the game yet, but we have built them. We just finished up a round of sweetening texture passes. And they're moving on to the next stage, and should be in the game very soon.
Sweet. So yeah, so there's a lot of that stuff coming. We're glad. Basically, everyone said they love the new legendary weapons with special stats. We didn't quite get the new art done in time to get the models in with the old ones. I think the ones that we put in last patch are like covered with a gold sheen or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if we're going to be replacing those with... Do we know that yet? Are we going to be replacing those with models, or are we going to be just using them for new legendaries?
I don't know.
I think well, that's something that's a question for Danny. So, but we do have a lot more legendary weapons coming, and some of them look really awesome. So we have some questions here, and these questions are actually interesting because they're indicative of people probably not getting that far in the game yet. But we asked people if they like the Chrome Horde incursion or the Malthius incursion, and actually it's kind of pretty much the same across the board. Most people said they hadn't played it yet, and then we got a lot of 5, 4s, and 3s, so that's good too.
And they're not really chrome. I mean, I know that's kind of where we started, but we toned that back and
what would you call them?
They're pewter.
Pewter?
Tin. No, they're just metal. They're just metal.
Okay. Let's see. So, all right, we have, and then we have all the balance changes which we asked people about, and basically all of these really also kind of fell into the 3, 4, and 5s for the characters as well. Trying to see, it looks like the Squire balance changes were the most liked across the board. Looks like people felt the Monk balance changes were a little bit lacking, but just a little bit. So there's obviously a lot more to come, especially for characters that aren't the Apprentice, since we kind of did his whole rebalance a while ago. Yep. And I know that we have some big things to do for some other characters in the future. So we have one last one here about kind of the new features that we added in the last patch, and this was about Steam achievements. And of course, that was a resounding people like Steam achievements, which is something we know, which is why we did it. So that's awesome. One of the things we also did in this map, and you can probably see as I pass Butter here is playing, is but we increased the legendary drop rate quite a bit in the first hotfix that we put out for it. And it looks like there was a resounding yes, we like more legendaries dropping.
Well, yes,
so
obviously.
I think that was duly noted and pretty obvious answer.
Oh, there you go.
That was the most swing vote. Yeah, see, we got a legendary right there. What are those? Oh, you picked it up too far.
Oh, you're supposed to look at
Let's just show it to the stream.
You make a horrible Vanna White.
Go check it out. We'll wait. We'll wait on you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There we go. Let's see what this is. Hopefully it's something good. Oh, he's already got all legendaries equipped. He's way better than us. Looks like...
Where is it?
Huh? Gold, lots of gold.
Oh, it's a Hemet. We got a Hemet.
We gotta get all those gold sinks in, and then that's gonna be useful. So, I know there's a couple of those planned and coming up right now. So let's see. And then it appeared most of you also said don't. This is actually really interesting. We asked, but how do you feel about the legendary drop rate right now? So slightly different question. Not did you enjoy it, but like, do you think it should stay that way? And it looks like, obviously we had 33% of people say don't change it.
Right.
But we also had the second largest group, 20%, saying they need to drop a bit more. And another group saying they need to drop even more. So, and then we had a few people drop less. So I think we're going to fall somewhere in the middle here. Obviously, everyone wants legendaries all the time, and I think with us, it's really kind of picking the balance between like how awesome they are and how often they drop. So.
Just to comment a little bit about there we go, what Enrique is doing here with the cat. Kind of the approach that we're taking with pets is because they're so small on the screen, we really want to make them more graphic and more cartoony and more softer, larger shapiness. So really what you're seeing here, we're carrying over into the models in that we're not going to put hair detail or anything like that.
It's not going to have fur?
No, not really.
No, the cat.
It's just going to be this nice blending.
But I thought like it's next gen, so like fur physics.
Right.
Like,
Get some normal maps on there, spec maps. Really, no.
I meant like individual follicles of like fur.
Yes. Like Sully from Monsters Inc.
Yeah. Exactly. Like where you need like a server farm to like render it, like bouncing up and down next to your head.
Nope, we're keeping it super simple, super graphic, just mostly with gradients and large airbrush swipes to maintain a very cartoony feel, and so that it's something that when you see it floating over your shoulder, nothing's lost. I mean, what you see, that's what it is.
Okay, so basically to kind of improve readability of it being like right there and over your shoulder.
And plus it's super cute this way. Once you make it all high detailed and fuzzy and like that,
Less cute.
Less cute.
So let's see, we have a couple questions here that I want to answer from the comments. One is for iPassButter, and they would like to see your stat screen when it's a build phase, if you can go show them. He nodded, so I think that's a yes. And then also we have a question here about elaborate on the rumors being spread about towers being less of a factor in gameplay. So I don't think that's the case. I think you can see pretty much here that the towers are taking out a lot of enemies. There's definitely been a big balancing act as we've been creating the second game, because a lot of what we wanted to do was kind of amp up how the action felt and how the hero movement felt and how your abilities felt, and keep the towers in the same way. And what we kind of found as we went down one path was like, oh man, now we made the hero abilities and everything really powerful. And actually with this last update, I think we pretty much switched it, and abilities are really not useful right now anymore. And I think actually one of the balance passes that we're doing for the next update is a balance pass on abilities. So it's a numbers thing, and we're definitely trying to focus a lot. Obviously Dungeon Defenders is first and foremost a tower defense game, so that's something that's very important for us to keep working on throughout early access. I think a funny story that I like to say about DD1 is that as everyone knew when DD1 launched, the Squire was like the most powerful character. And the reason he was is because right before launch, for some reason, we had increased the stats of the Squire all around by 30%.
Oh wow.
For all his towers and everything, because I guess there was a playtest where people couldn't beat it with him, and he's supposed to be the easier character. But I think that's kind of indicative of the number of changes mean a lot. And luckily, since we'll be in early access for so long, we have a lot of time and a lot of updates to get data and get feedback from players and try to make it so it's a real, not only is it a good balance, but you can choose where you go. So if you want to be tower focused and you find tower gear, to let you be tower focused, and if you want to be hero focused, you find hero gear to let you be hero focused. So this is iPassButter showing off his stat screen. You guys can take a look and comment and ask us if there are any questions about it. So let's see, we have a question here, and I don't know what the answer is. Are you going to be changing the graphics again? I made a comment a few months back about the goblins being cartoonish, and it was changed really fast. Any updates are going to be put into graphic improvements closer to the end?
The goblins got changed?
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did.
I'm not sure what he's talking about exactly. Goblins have been that way for... Did we ever have... In the MOBA we had that we trashed, we had the goblins with the wooden shields.
Right.
And stuff, but yeah, I don't think the goblins have been changed. Well, but what about graphic improvements in general? Probably not. This is
probably not. The look and feel that we have right now is something that I very much want to see continue, because it's been brought up. Oh, we can try doing normal mapping, and we can try doing other bells and whistles kind of things, but I found that they for the most part, do detract from the softness, I don't know a better word for that, of the cartoon style that we have going on here. I mean, everything is diffuse map, everything is hand-painted textures, and I think it brings a certain level of artistry and quality to it that I would like to see continue.
Sweet.
We've got amazingly talented artists here.
We do. The game just looks gorgeous. So thank you, Rusty, for coming on. This is the first time in a long time. Is that beer in there?
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
All right on. No.
Well, it is Beer Friday. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I think if you can grab Chris out there, he's going to swap, and right there. He's looking at us through the window. Sweet. Hey, how are you doing?
Good, how about you?
Good. So, guys, this is Chris. He is our, oh man, just another legendary drop. You want to introduce yourselves to everyone?
Yeah, so my name is Chris Flores, and I'm the QA lead here at Trendy.
Sweet. So he's basically responsible for the builds that have coming out being so, in my opinion, bug-free compared to stuff we've done in the past, right?
No comment. No comment. Yeah.
Still lots of bugs, but hey, at least they're all written down before they.
Yeah. So I apologize in advance. The allergies have been on full-blown roid rage lately. So I got my water and I got my cough drops. So.
Man, that's what everyone's saying. So what we're gonna do for the last half is that we have this huge list of questions.
Yes.
We're gonna be going through them. I don't know how many are pertinent to you or not, so we'll find out. But I'm sure a lot of them are gonna be about things that we tested and stuff. So
okay.
I'm gonna try to go through fast. Last time I tried to go through fast and I failed, and I got not even through half of them. So we'll see what we can do now. We're also gonna be taking questions from the comments as well. So let's see here. They want to know what the devs have to say about a method for recycling our junk legendaries. If not, is there a plan for a crafting system, or is the game too far along to implement these kind of suggestions?
Well, from what I know of, we're always looking at feedback from you guys. So what you guys say about our loot, what you guys like about it and what you don't. So this topic has been brought up before. Ultimately, it's up to the designers, but I do know that at the moment, as far as the items that you guys may not like, we do have, you can sell them or you can use them to upgrade your other items. But no comment. That's a designer question.
Yeah, there's a lot of desire in the studio to increase the ways that you use items and have another phase of item enhancement. Yeah. It's really just a question of focus, and right now we're focused on getting pets and some other big things in it, and then we're gonna see. After then, what we're focused on next, and it could be possibly having a better use to legendaries that you don't need anymore, those sorts of things. Lots of changes to come. To answer the question, is the game too far along to implement these kind of suggestions? No, not at all. Those are the kind of features that we're looking at adding every milestone. So throughout the whole year, you'll see a lot of various things added, whether it's that thing specifically or not. Thoughts on adding levels above 25? Definitely going to happen. Yeah. Don't know it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's talks in the office, and the wheels are moving, but that's still in the future.
Yeah, there is actually somewhat of a technical hurdle in terms of rebalancing the numbers and stuff to kind of get up there and make the game even more fun as you get up to 25. So this is something that will happen. I just don't know. What do you think about adding specific items that drop from certain bosses? An example would be weapons drop from the genie on Morago from DD1.
Personally, I think it's actually a really great idea. It's one of the things I hear internally. We've always talked about ever since. Not sure if I took at the camera or the screen. I feel like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. But here internally, we're always talking about just making loot more interesting. And it's funny this question goes up now because over the past couple of weeks, we've actually started doing things on the code side to give more control over loot drops, not only for specific levels, but for specific enemies or just free plays or campaign modes. So it is a really good idea. I know it's something that's come up before, and we're always looking at ways to improve it more.
Oh man, you got to reroll. See if it happens again. But yeah, that's definitely something that will happen. And the legendaries that Rusty was talking about, some of them might actually be used for some of that stuff. So we'll see there. So have you guys considered adding models in the tavern? This is a kind of goofy idea, but they could hold swords and items to show them off and show how they look. It's an interesting idea. I think there's going to be some tavern work coming up in the future, and when we do tavern customization, there will be some stuff there. I don't know if we'll have models showcasing the items, but we've talked a lot about maybe some kind of way to like show off stuff you have, which would be really cool. We have here, all right, how have you guys planned to combat the power creep problem that was present in DD1? Are legendary items always going to be the best items in the game? What if you were to release harder content? Would there be another item tier to go with it, rendering all the previous top tier items legendaries redundant?
Again, this is more of a question for the designers, but from what I know of, there are plans to either make legendaries higher tier, so like, you know, if you get like a level, of course right now level 25 legendaries are your top gear. But I know they've been talks about, well, if we increase the level cap to, let's say, 40, then we can go back and retrofit those legendaries to be your level 40 items. But again, a lot of this is based off feedback on what you guys say. You know, our designers are always taking, especially for loot and balance, our designers are always looking at your comments, reading through the forums. So any ideas you guys have with that, I promise they're being looked at.
Yeah, and to that question particularly, it's something that's kind of a future question for us right now. We're really trying to flesh out the content that's in the game right now, and then we're going to find ways to obviously do better than what we did in DD1. And we also really have to define how we use rarities, right? Are the rarities really just tiers that when you get to 25 you just get legendaries, or maybe in the future that switch to more of a Diablo type thing where it's like, okay, when you're 15 you might get a legendary that's awesome for 15, but when you're 20 you might get a mythic that's like good for 20, but then you get a legendary that's awesome for 20. So those are lots of questions that we have in the future, and to go with the previous question about increasing the level cap, all those are going to tie together to how to answer it. So I have a question here from the comments, which is about re-rolling item stats. Are we going to ever allow that? And it would be a good gold sync. Do we have any gold syncs in the game right now?
Other than the item enhancement, that's really the only gold sync we have. We have the shops, but again, shops are actually something we're also taking a look at, trying to give you better loot as you go for those. But as of right now, really, the item enhancement is the only real expenditure.
Yep, so that's definitely, once again, something that we're going to be doing in the future. We need to add a bunch of gold, reason to get gold into the game. And we also want to provide some kind of reroll method, because it's really important to not only have the, like, okay, I got the RNG stat, but maybe I can influence it in some way, because they're different players and they like different things. So it's definitely something that we're looking at. We have here, will there be any further increase in hero damage to compensate for the increase in enemies' health? Are you happy with hero damage as it stands? Or as an alternative, will increasing level boundaries or other features like pets improve hero damage to make it worth specializing into DPS?
Whew, that's a good question. So as far as making your characters powerful, really right now, your gear, your stats, that's really the only way you're going to get your character stronger, to where you see differences as you progress through the levels. I do know that once pets come in, there's going to be not a major rebalance, but all that's going to be taken into consideration and done over again. So I would say for now, it's really just loot. You know, your loot's the only way you're going to see your difference in your stats. However, we do have some balance changes and some, hopefully Phil has already filled you guys in, but we are doing some works to the spec nodes that'll help you. So
yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. We haven't talked about the spec nodes yet, so we don't talk about it too much. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I think they're doing this way. They know that DPS is an issue. That's one of the reasons they're doing the ability redesigns coming up. And I think on the last, not redesigns, but just rebalances. And on the last update, there was a pretty substantial increase to the power of, I think, attacks and alt attacks as well. So it's something that's really being looked at. I think in the future, the designers want to take the game more on a path of really being able to choose, like, do I want DPS or do I want tower, and then actually being able to be good at that particular setting. So that's something that we're looking at. So I have a question here, which is, how does the crit system work, and how much % is our crit chance? I assume that there's a percentage chance that if you hit a monster in the head, you have a chance of scoring a critical hit. We already have access to increases in crit damage, but will there be an ability to increase our chance of scoring a crit hit?
As of right now, the crit hits are all based off location of where you hit the enemy. For the most part, all enemies are usually in the head area. However, because of the auto aim, sometimes it can kind of redirect your projectile a little bit. I know internally, this is where you guys can help us out. Here internally, QA, we've been pushing for an option to turn off auto aim. So if you guys support that, suggest it in the forums, maybe we can get that through. So as of right now, crit hits are all based off where you hit the enemy, and again, for the most part, it's just the head.
So I have a couple questions from the comments here. We have let's see. I think I missed one question I want us to answer. So we have one question here, which is, oh, here we go. We got both of them. So one is, will the game encourage maintaining a huge roster of heroes for doing high-level solo play, similar to DD1? I think the answer is yes and no. I think that the hero deck restricts that to a degree. So it's like we don't want people. What we want to do eventually is we want people to have a large roster of heroes to defeat a variety of content when you're playing solo.
Yeah.
So it may be for, you know, this incursion you need these 3 heroes spec'd a different way, and for another incursion you need another 3 heroes spec'd a different way. What we want to avoid doing is having it be like DD1, where you need 12 heroes, each hero spec'd in each exact way, and then you play every map the same.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot harder to achieve that than it was to achieve the other one, but at least that's the kind of goal around. So the idea would be like, yes, you do want a large variety of heroes to use on a large variety of content. Yeah. We have a question here. Or the other question was land pets. That is also something I would love, but I think it's something that we're not doing right now. There's a lot of work involved in kind of making pets that follow you on the land, track alongside you and stuff. And when we're kind of looking at priorities of things we need to put in the game versus things we want to put in the game, that's unfortunately one of the things that keeps falling into the want category compared to stuff that you guys really need to have fun in the game. So unfortunately not right now. Maybe in the very long future. So we have a question here. Is the diversity of defense setup build plans one of the design goals of this game? The situation right now is you can dominate a map at max level with 3 to 4 types, boost Cannonball Ballista or boost or Shatter Flame Burst Frostbite of defenses. Is that expected behavior?
For now, I'm going to say it's probably expected behavior. I know recently there was a huge revamp to towers, specifically the defense speed. You guys never saw the first iteration of that, but believe me when I say the first quote-unquote nerf of the defense speed was ridiculous. But I do know that as of right now, like with the resistances the enemies have, and like the orcs have physical resistance, the dragons have magic resistance. That does encourage you to help, build a frost tower, build the cannonball tower, build the flame burst tower, all in conjunction with each other. You are correct when you say like a lot of the setups are very similar, but that all goes back to balance. Seeing what you guys are seeing, what you guys like about it, and what you guys don't. I know there's been things that are coming up that kind of make some of the maps trivial, but you guys really like that, so we don't mess with it. So it's kind of almost like a wait and see to see what you guys are saying and see how we feel about it and go from there. But yeah.
And I think one thing I've heard the designers talk about recently is not in the first passive hard mode, but they really like to in a future passive hard mode really make each map kind of test how you build specific things, and that's going to be interesting to see what people think about that.
Yeah, and we do have a piece of tech that's still a work in progress that's gonna kind of modify AI setup based on how you play. So that's way down the future, but that's something that can also help with the diversity of your towers and your builds.
So I have a question from the comments here, which is, will we ever in the future have heroes with unique abilities like the EV who can carry 2 ranged weapons with a summoner who control minions? So yeah, we are going to have unique new heroes, but that's going to be in the future. Right now we're really focused on kind of the 4 heroes and making them better than what they are. Alright, we have 15 minutes left, so we're still taking questions from the comments, and I'm still on the first page of questions here, so we'll see how many we can get through. So we have a question here which is similar to the last question, which is, what changes are you guys have in mind that will encourage underused defenses? Would that involve manual adjustments, or would that involve automatic adjustments like arbitrage-free gameplay? In simple terms, the more frequent a defense is used by the community, the more expensive it will become, and the underused defenses will become more cheaper to build. So I think that right now the design team is really focusing on the former, which is trying to figure out some fundamental changes to defenses to make them useful. The latter thing is interesting and something we might do in the future, but I think that our intention isn't to like, oh, players aren't using this tower, so let's make it better. It's more like, let's create situations where that tower is useful, so all players will want to use it. Not so the meta just switches where, oh, it was cannonball towers before, but today it's fireball towers. We don't want to kind of do that. So here we go. The very idea that traps and lightning ores require upkeep in green kind of makes them inferior compared to towers now that have extended the range of. So is that intended behavior? If not, should we see adjustments such as traps and ores being able to repair in blue, or make enemies outrange towers again, or towers needing ammo refills in green, or some other completely different ideas? what's kind of your feedback on that one?
I think I think it's a bit of a trade-off because I know the auras, especially once you upgrade your tier, you're geared towards more defense speed and defense power. Those auras they can be pretty powerful, especially with a tower boost. But the trade-off for that is, yeah, they do require extra mana to keep them alive. Right off the bat, there are also some of the cheaper towers too. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a bit of a trade-off. Personally, I kind of like the way it is because those playing as a monk, I can solo a lot of maps with only lighting auras and tower boosts. So if you spec your gear right and the spec notes, it's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question here, which is, where'd it go? Oh man, I missed it. People are asking too many questions. All right, we'll ask the next question. So, are you still going to be able to switch from tower builder to hero DPS? And if not, what will the tower builder do during waves? So yes, you can still switch. You can only bring 3 heroes to battle. You can't bring infinite, but we're actually trying to even encourage even more kind of the difference between like what a tower builder character is and what a DPS character is, and to make it, if you're like soloing hard content, that you actually will have to switch. So it's like you have to play a tower builder. Oh man, I was in the design room and I heard a really funny idea that they had that I don't know if they're doing for the hard mode. We'll see. I won't spoil it if they're doing it. So we have here, let's see, a question with, when would you guys consider adding a gambler NPC where you could roll the dice and spend coins to gamble and see what item you get, etc.? Maybe you could re-roll once after you roll again. I think that's a really cool idea and something we're looking into. I think right now we're really focusing on like the core gaps that the game doesn't have, like core systems like pets and survival and these big things, and getting those in first. But it would be awesome to add an NPC in where it's kind of like, what was the guy's name from Diablo 2?
I have never played. I am one of the few people who have never played a Diablo game. So
yeah, man, everyone's shaking their head in here.
So yeah, if you never see me again, it's because they strung me up somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would love for someone to remind me what the guy's name, the gambler in Diablo 2, in the comments is. But yeah, it's a really cool idea, and I'll pass it on to the designers. So I have a question here. The way the game is at the moment, if you focus on your defenses, you can quickly notice differences. But the way the stats influence the hero damage and resistances, you don't notice much. So are there any intentions of adding more influence on hero stats and more types of specializations for heroes? For example, a hero can focus on DPS at the cost of tankiness. Yeah, I think I already answered this a million times. Yeah. This is a big focus area for balance changes in the future, kind of evening out. The last focus was, hey guys, towers aren't strong enough, and we're like, all right, shit, make towers stronger.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well, now items affect towers a lot. We need to go back and do that for hero damage in the future. So we have here, at 5 waves on every map, there isn't much of a chance to use all 5 tiers for a tower. Especially when you transition from the campaign to the 20 plus territory, you end up needing to do 20 or so maps to get a character from 20 to 25. Why have you made the choice to have every map only have 5 waves, even in a testing capacity? I think one of the goals was just shorter gameplay times. I think in DD1 there could be maps that you would sit down and play for like 2 or 3 hours, and you couldn't save in between waves, and a lot of people don't have time to do that. So that was one of the goals. We are working on an endless mode. That will be in the future, and I think there are going to be opportunities to present game modes that do that. We want to try to keep the core game experience shorter. I do definitely agree personally. What about when you guys play? How often do you max up your towers?
Usually we pick what we want. I know we've actually sat down and talked with the level designers about this, and they really like the idea of you having to pick, all right, this particular tower is doing the most damage. Let's make this one tier 5, and the rest are support. So it's always, as far as I can remember, the designers have always been with the mentality of let them pick what they want to make the tier 5 and have everything else support. I kind of like it. Yeah.
I like it too. One of the most fun times I had, I always fall on the make content really hard side, and unfortunately not everyone does. And there was a play test we had a long time back before we went into, what is Enrique drawing now?
I don't know, but I keep looking at it, and
so he's drawing. We just asked him to draw a bunch of versions of like Propeller Cat Pet. And now he's got like a ridiculous version with like rocket launchers on the side and and like buttons to shoot rockets. I think we need people to vote on which one they like the best. So people who are just joining, we have Enrique. We asked people kind of what pet they wanted us to redraw from DD1 to be in the first set of pets that we release in the future, far future. And the answer was Propeller Cat from someone. So we are basically drawing propeller counting as a couple person there, so it's really cool. So 5 waves, there will be modes with more than 5 waves, and I think that there will be ways within those 5 waves to kind of level up your defenses to max and stuff for people who wanted that. So we have in the 6th Devstream. Oh man, that's specific. I don't know if I remember this. I think the last one was 7, so I think that's 2 Devstreams away. So talk about a new item tier possibility. Legendary set. Does this stand for a real new item tier or simply a tier of legendary items that are part of sets like DD1? I think there's both potentials out there. I know we're talking a lot about sets now, and we're talking a lot about new legendary items. So there's going to be a lot of changes to items over the next 6 to 12 months. So expect more fun ways to collect loot and more loot to collect, both of which are fun. So I have a question here, which is, after some good gameplay hours, I still haven't found all the codexes. Are there some missing because of hard mode, or is there a bug? You know this one.
Yeah. Okay, so internally, I'll give you a little story here. Internally, when we first put those in, we had to find them ourselves. And between the group, it took, and this is 4 of us, maybe sometimes even 5 of us. Between the group, it took us, and John's here nodding his head, between the group, it took probably well over a month of farming to get all of them. At some point, it did take some out because they wanted them to be revamped. I have to go back in and take a look to make sure they re-added them all, or there's still some that are left out on purpose. My advice is don't lose sleep over it. We'll make sure that they're all in at some point, but some of them are still a work in progress. I think some of them even had that weird temp Latin language that didn't make any sense at all, so it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, and I think we don't have the rewards in for getting
Yep, that too, yep.
And from some of the designs I've seen, I don't know when we're getting that in, but it would make sense that it takes a really long time to get them, because they're kind of like account-wide boosts to stuff when you collect them all. So.
Yeah, those are going to get some love pretty soon. So.
Are they? Yeah. I hope so. So we have here, oh man, this is actually an interesting question. What are your thoughts on the game called Death Trap? Can anything be implemented from Death Trap that they have over you guys right now? The survival and endless mode of crafting, a meaningful store to purchase the in-game currency, hero tech tree that can alter gameplay experience, unique skills, etc. It's actually interesting. So I haven't played Death Trap yet, but we just started talking to the developers over there via email, and they shot us over some codes to try out. So yeah, I have to try it and see. I've heard good things from people. I think a lot of the stuff you mentioned here is stuff where we're going with in the future. I know that I think in that game they have a lot more defenses than we're probably ever going to have per hero. But yeah, it's something that we're really looking at and seeing, and kind of in all those aspects. That's kind of what this year is focused on: is how do we add more depth, and what are those things that we add to our game. Oh man! All right, we have 8 minutes left, and we have a page and a half. I think we might make it. Let's see. We'll go fast. All right. So, will it be possible to be able to choose server location soon or swap server location soon? Half the time I search for a match, or even when it puts me in a game that's empty, shooting me over to a faraway server with incredible lag. I can tell this as I join a game with 3 others in Asia, and there's 0 lag for a few seconds later. So I'm actually not sure exactly how that works right now. We do have 3 regions.
Yeah, we have North America, Ireland, and I think we're now Sydney, Australia.
North America, Ireland, and Sydney.
Yeah, and it places you in just whatever you're closer to.
Yeah, so I don't think it actually should be. If it is, please report it to Chris.
Please do. Yeah.
It should only be placing you in your region. So if it can't find anyone, then it actually just puts you in the game by yourself in your region, right? Yeah. So let us know if it's not doing that, and let us know what region you're in if you're having difficulties. So we have a question here. When will you guys add the content from the collector's edition to the game, and when will we see other costumes? You guys started testing that yet?
Hopefully soon. I know it's a work in progress, as in very, very soon we should be getting our hands on it.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. So in the future, I think it's going to be a little longer than we first wanted, but it's really funny because actually the art for all that stuff is done, and the models are done and everything, but to get the UIs in and all the systems in to control costumes and embellishments and all that stuff actually is taking quite a bit of time. So in the future when we finish that, we'll be getting that. Those will be the first ones added.
Yeah, and the embellishments and items like that are being worked on right now. It's a bit of a process.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like all things that you'll find out as you be with us for early access throughout this year, where it's like to get a system in takes a while, and then to get pieces of the system in or modification takes a lot less time. So we have here, will armor equipped ever be visible? There's going to need to be a system like armor, but I don't think armor itself is ever going to be visible. Yeah. It's a really big thing for us to have stats separate from kind of cosmetics to a degree, so we wanted to make sure that like the way your hero looked was different than the stats you had. So Why is Throne Room map rotated by 180 degrees? All the maps have the main core at the bottom, and that is correct because you're not meant to face it. You're meant to face the mobs and have the main core behind us.
Personally, I kind of like it. I mean, it adds some variety to the maps. I think as this title goes longer in development and more maps come out, we're going to need something like that. We can't have all maps set up the exact same way. But personally, I kind of like that. Throne Room is, a little bit different than the norm.
So I really love someone on the comments here just posted a comment that was basically telling me to read it and waste my time since we had all the questions and you succeeded. I read your whole comment to the end. The next one is, are we planning on adding more types of loot higher than legendary? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be another category or how it's going to come into effect, but there will definitely be more powerful loot and there will be higher level caps and all that stuff in the future. Remember, early access, so we're still pre-alpha in development right now. There's still a lot of systems to get. We have a question here, which is, when can us Mac people get access, or how long do we have to wait? I think it's going to be a bit of time before we do Mac and Linux. We really want to get PC right and get it to a good enough point in early access, and then after then is when we'll start tackling the challenge of getting Mac and Linux.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're looking forward to, right?
Yeah. DDE was fun on 3 different platforms.
Yeah, so it's QAing multiple platforms is really difficult, and what we found in the past with other products is it's really easy to, what's the trade-off? It's like, do we fix this Mac bug that 5 people have, or do we fix this other thing? And it's a really bad Mac bug for the 5 people that makes us not be able to work on the game. Yeah. So we really wanted to focus on the game first on one platform, and then move to other platforms. All right, so we have a question here, which is, would you kindly tell us something about the secret meeting? Nope. Next question. All right, so
rule number 1 about secret meetings: don't talk about secret meetings.
So, are you guys making DD2 on Xbox One as well? Nope. Right now, PS4 exclusive, so that'll be fun. What happened to the Dark Assassin? Oh, that's I think there might have been a forum thread on this. He's like the enemy that got stuck in development, right?
Yeah, he's tricky to implement. So I know eventually they pushed him back a little bit just to focus on what we had already and make that better. Yeah. He's for us internally to make you guys jealous. We can spawn him whenever we want, but believe me when I say he is not nearly ready.
Yeah, so there's some more work to do on him, so he kind of got pushed back. I don't think he'll be a casualty. He's going to make it in eventually. It's just there are a lot more important features and stuff we want people to focus on right now as opposed to getting in another enemy. As much fun as he'll be.
And there's some pretty good ideas bouncing around for him, so I think once he makes it in, it's going to be a noticeable difference.
Yeah. So do you think we'll ever see bosses? Yes, you will. They're coming up. Just play tested one maybe today. So.
Wink, wink.
All right. Yeah, I didn't even get to fight it though because it's scheduled to play test from 4 to 5, and I had to stop. Okay. So are you planning a hard mode map only for DPS heroes? And I mean a really tough map with very rare drops. So you have the challenge to build up the very best DPS heroes trying to get one of the rare items. I think that there will definitely be a big place for DPS heroes in some of the hard modes we have playing. So it's still a long time till we're able to balance our content properly and make that stuff fun, but I think you're going to start seeing kind of some ideas for some of that stuff in the near future. What can you tell us about the Spec Nerds V2? It's going to be a lot of changes, and that's all we're going to say right now. But it'll make it a lot better. I think it's going to solve a lot of people's problems that they've been talking about in regards to hero progressions. Can you tell us when the item upgrade system will be able to skip to the end? Did we just push it?
Yeah, so...
Did we push that? Or
yeah, I'll be your favorite person. I'll just tell you guys. It's fixed. We're just waiting for a hotfix to release it to the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. High five, John.
Yeah. Alright, sweet. So, is there any plans to set requirements for the difficulties after level 25? Right now, someone that has just hit level 25 can go straight into farming legendaries from incursions, due to the fact that only one person needs to be geared well enough to build for it. We're going to see. I think we're trying to actually scale back from restricting people. So when it first came out, it was like everything was level gated and you had to play through all of it. And that was it really stopped people from playing the game.
Yeah, really restricting, yeah.
So we're trying to pull back from that. We have to figure out how to spread content out and make it there, but we don't want to kind of just not let people play the content. Because then people feel like, well, I could just sit there with someone else and play it, so why won't you let me do that? It's not fun playing the game because et cetera, et cetera. So that's a tricky one and something that we'll be looking at. When will the level cap be raised in the future? Good question, good answer. Is there a chance of increasing the amount of waves per map? We already got that one. Josh, you got it better. Call the questions for the same ones. There's going to be modes that have more waves. Right now for the core campaign, we're pretty much looking at 5 waves. Squire training dummies. I'm not even going to read the rest of that question. Not because the Squire training dummy will be fixed.
Yeah. And
it will be changed in the future. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I think the ideas you put here are really great. And the design team is going to figure out a way to make it not useless.
Well,
have you guys ever
I will say this. He is our go-to for the ogre. Yep. Put him down, have 2 people constantly repairing him, and the ogre will never get past him. Pro tip. So the ogre will never get past him.
So the ogre is really weak to training dummies?
Is that a bug? So long as you keep it repaired, because the repair is pretty quick, especially, as you guys know, if multiple people repair a tower at the same time, it stacks. So, yeah, the train dummy is getting reworked, but he's not totally useless as he is now.
When are you going to listen to ISOM and add seasons and ladders for more hardcore players? I think that's something that we definitely want to look to do in the future. I think there's a lot of things we need to add before we start adding seasons and ladders into the game, but that's definitely something that I think is really fun. So I think we're at time now. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Please let us know what you thought about the format, taking questions from the comments, having Rusty and Chris on, and then also having Enrique draw Propeller Cat, which I hope you guys will enjoy when it makes it in when we get pets in the future. So thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.